And we are live here on this episode of Crashing Activities, where we talk about part
Yeah.
2 of the tragic train wrecks.
Of course.
You should talk about the Amtrak Big Bay Crash in 1993 that
Oh,
happened.
I know that. Oh, I know that.
That was
that.
I know
it
that.
was the
Wait,
that's the
can I tell? I want
one.
to please. I want to tell, please. I will be
That's
the
the
story guy. Okay?
Now it's your
If I made a
turn.
mistake, please
that's
point
the
me out.
one
Okay?
when it crashed in the Mobile,
Yes, but
Alabama,
let's talk
right?
about the beginning before the disaster happened. Okay, so what do we know?
Okay.
An Amtrak Sunset Limited. Of course, the Sunset Limited is the one that goes from Los Angeles, California to Miami, Florida, of course, And usually it always travels normal. But in the night of September 22nd of 1993, it was stopped. It was delayed in New Orleans, Louisiana, because of a broken air conditioner and a toilet that needed to be fixed in one of the cars. And after that, it was 30 minutes and it was repaired and the train started going back. But however, it was 30 minutes delayed, I said. Remember, it's 30 minutes late behind schedule and head towards this city in Mobile, Alabama. And this is where something bad's going to happen. A tugboat named Movilla was trying along, it was heading towards the area of the Big Bayou Canal Bridge, which is outside of Mobile, Alabama. And the tugboat was having its problems with the sonar, like its GPS, because he didn't know where he was. But he made a wrong turn. He thought that he was in the Mobile River, when in fact he was heading towards the river that lead up to the railroad bridge of the CSX train. Once he noticed, his lead barge hit the bridge of the CSX train bridge, but the boat was still there, like it wasn't damaged, but it still kept going. But however, because of the impact of it, it caused the rails to be bent like a kink rail. Then the Amtrak Sunset Limited starts heading towards the bridge. At around 2:30 in the morning, it all happened. The train derailed, doing almost 175 miles an hour. The bridge snapped and the coaches tossed.
Amtrak wouldn't go that fast over a bridge. That would be too fast.
Yeah, that would be too. Well, I mean, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. What people say. They say it was traveling at least 100 miles an hour when it derailed to the bridge. It said.
Also seen
Yeah.
in a
But
YouTube video
it caused the lead engines to be tossed around, and some coaches were either derailed or some of them were still on the tracks. But
it's
to
like
make things worse, the fuel from both of the trains started spreading the fire.
Christmas Eve, December 24th of 1953, of what happened to the New Zealand Railways KA.
Yeah, the Tangiwee disaster, right? The Tangiwee. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened in New Zealand.
It was actually also in the movie, right? I saw the movie.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie.
I saw the movie. I ain't spoiling for you, bro. But I'm just telling you, you're gonna watch it.
What movie is it?
It's called the Tangiwee, the bridge disaster. Hold on, let me search it up. Let me see.
I
don't know. People call it the Tangiwee disaster. Actually, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm gonna try searching it up. And because of the accident, however, with the Amtrak, it caused the Coast Guard to haven't arrived. Like, remember, the Coast Guard wasn't called in until about 4 in the morning, 2 hours.
And then braked, saving the bank half of the train, but too late to stop the 3 locomotives, like 1 F40PH and 2 P40DCs.
Yes, exactly. And because of it, the fuel started leaking from the train because of the impact. It caused the fire to spread towards the coaches that were derailed, literally burning everyone alive. And people say that they don't die right away from smoke. Well, it's true, but they do die from smoke inhalation because you're inhaling smoke, and that's very bad for your health. You can't, like you're gonna pass out or who knows.
And sometimes, but if you smoke like marijuana or vape or weed, then it will cause more problems.
Hey guys,
problems. Just like the.
In the next episode, we're going to talk about drugs and alcohol.
Alex
the dangers of them, including vaping.
Okay, I actually have a story about drugs and alcohol before, actually. So, alcohol, we all know it's alcohol. We've seen them before.
So, let's talk about the conclusion of the wreck.
Okay, in total, of the 164 people on board, only 47 people will lose their lives, including the engineer, who was probably instantly killed from the lead locomotive during the impact. And the NTSB, or National Transportation Safety Board, arrived at the scene about 70 hours after the accident happened. And the FBI was also there too, because they want to rule out that this was sort of terrorism. Because remember, the year was 1993. The World Trade Center bombing happened in that year at the time. And remember, the FBI thinks that the accident of the Amtrak was probably terrorism because of the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. Like, remember, this year's 19.
Guys, can
Remember,
y'all hear me?
yes, the bombing of
Guys,
the
I
World
want to show
Trade
y'all
Center.
something.
However, the FBI actually ruled out, however, and
Look.
they determined that it's not true, that this was not
Look, guys,
terrorism
what
that
engine is
occurred.
this?
What?
We know we see 4014, but we're gonna talk
Yeah,
about the rat.
I was trying to conclude the thing. So the FBI believes that this was terrorism because
should've
of what I said. The
listened,
1993 World
Diego.
Trade Center bombing happened. Because the year is 1993, the World Trade Center bombing have happened. That was the first terrorism that ever happened in the United States. That was
February
the first terrorism.
21st.
26,
Oh,
actually.
February
26.
26th. I
Yeah.
remember that.
And because the year was 1993, remember, the year 1993, that was when the World Trade Center bombing happened. Yeah. And because of that, the FBI thinks that this was terrorism because of that. But, however, it was the NTSB actually conducted their own investigation, and they find out that, and the FBI also investigated, and they found no possible leads of terrorism. So the NTSB decided to investigate them themselves. And they believe there was actually something factored to the bridge. The bridge was built to have a swinging mechanism, which means that if anything hits it, it just swings out of the way, you know? Especially if a tugboat that hit it. The tugboat Movilla, however, the captain was actually having trouble with his sonar or GPS, so he made a wrong turn. And when he hit the bridge, and people say if a rail is broken, then the signals will tell the train conductor, the crew of the train that there's a broken rail, they have to stop, But because it was a kink, the signals didn't turn red. They turned green, all clear, which that's what the NTSB concluded too. And of course, in 1995, the NTSB finally published their final report, stating that the tugboat was the true cause of the accident, but not just the tugboat, but also the bridge too, because first of all, this bridge had a bad history back then. This bridge was literally, negligence, I would say. The train workers that noticed the bridge was being damaged, they didn't realize how serious this thing was. And since then, the bridge was repaired. And because of that, there was actually new designs for bridges nowadays. Instead of wooden planks, they now have metal planks to prevent an accident, just like how it happened in a tugboat of Big Bayou Canal Bridge. In the end, however, the 3 locomotives that were damaged, the P40DC and the 2 F40s, were damaged beyond repair and scrap at the site. Some of the coaches were either burned or I think they were probably scrapped too, I think. Some of them were either damaged or scrapped at the scene too. And it was also marked as the deadliest Amtrak disaster. I mean, the train wreck in Amtrak's history because of, the Chase Maryland collision was the first. But now, because the death toll went up to 47 people, they determined that the Big Bayou wreck was the deadliest Amtrak disaster to ever happen. And, of course, the worst in the United States.
Now I'm going to talk about another train accident, the one at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in May of 2015. So, let's talk about this accident, right, Manuel?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, the Philadelphia train wreck.
Yes.
Train wreck.
2015
Deadly Derailment. On May 12, 2015, an Amtrak Northeast Regional train from Washington, D.C., bound for New York City, hauled by ACS 64, number 601, derailed.
Yeah, I was also going to tell that, yeah.
Derailment.
Yes.
At about 9:10 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12, 2015, Amtrak's northbound Northeast Regional, number 188, led by ACS 64, number 601, departed Philadelphia's 30th Street station on route from Washington, D.C. to New York City.
Hey, guys.
The train consisted of 7 cars hauled by a year-old Amtrak City Sprinter ACS 64, locomotive number 601.
That sounds like the Polar Express, actually.
The engineer and Bastian, who had begun working a few weeks prior. The train entered a 4-degree left curve on the 4-track lane at the railroad's Frankfurt Junction near the intersection of Frankfurt Avenue and Wheatsheaf Lane. and it derailed and wrecked at 9:23 p.m. Passengers reported that the front of the train shook at first, then came to a sudden stop. The entire train went off the track, with 3 cars rolling onto their sides. The train sustained at least 9.2 million in estimated damages.
Yes,
Now
of
it's your
course.
turn.
All right, I got it. So, like, what are we talking about again? Are we talking about the same wreck or
We're
a
talking
different
about
wreck?
the Philadelphia train wreck.
Oh, yes, the Philadelphia wreck. Okay, so this was actually there was lots of possibilities. Like 8 people would be confirmed dead, which thank God. I mean,
including
it's bad for those people to
a
die,
college
yes, but at least the
person,
death toll
which
wasn't
I
up.
forgot what's his name,
Look, guys, let me show you.
was headed away and went to this camp.
Yes, of
And
course.
then also he graduated one of his college, and he was headed to Rockaway Beach camp at the end of his graduation school year. But
Yes, of
unfortunately,
course.
his journey home ended here. That's what I learned on the news. And the
Yes.
train should have been slowing to approach the curve with a reduced speed limit of 80 miles per hour.
Yes, of
And its
course.
approach in 50 miles an hour within it, but instead it had accelerated into the curve and it was traveling at 106. And it was
Yes.
and it was going 106. By the time the engineer tripped the emergency brakes, it was too late.
Is
Yep.
this the
When
wreck
it
that
And the
we
derailed,
talked
engineer,
about?
according to
however,
Robert,
he would say something else though. Like the engineer also say, like, Boston actually said he suffered a minor concussion from the accident that you see
Is it
here.
oh
wreck?
yeah, that's extremely serious, just like a concussion time, or maybe,
Is
and
it
some
be-
people
is
might
it
have ended up
because
in a
it was
coma
going
too,
too
which is
fast?
extremely dangerous.
Yes,
And
of
when it
course.
derailed, according to Robert L. Somewhat, the National Transportation Safety Board's
Wait, guys,
lead
guys.
investigator,
Is
who
this
said
the
the
wreck?
onboard event recorder recovered from the wreckage. Investigators are working to determine why the train entered the curve at such a high speed.
Well, there was also another possibilities too. I actually saw this from Thunderbolt Productions. Actually, he makes a lot of these train wreck documentaries, and here's the reason why. He said, according to what the engineer said, he had a problem with the SEPTA train that was speaking earlier because the SEPTA train reported that there was rocks being thrown. Actually, that's him. Yes, him. According to what he said, his statement said that the accident was, was actually caused
Hey,
of
guys.
everything. Like. He said that the SEPTA train was having some problems because some people were throwing rocks at the windmills to
Hey,
a train,
guys.
which
yeah,
you
which you should not do.
Yeah, that's
Hey
illegal.
guys,
I mean, that's not only
Diego's
illegal,
trying
but
to
it's
say
illegal.
something
You
here.
can get arrested for that.
Oh wait, Alicia, be careful, don't post this because Thunderbolt doesn't want his videos to get taken or used, without his permission. He's gonna give you a copyright strike.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to. I don't want to do that. We just wanted to make this episode friendly.
Yeah, he's making friendly, yeah.
Just like a friendly family guy.
He takes these videos too serious, just like Millennium Force, he takes these videos too serious.
I saw he likes train faces.
Oh,
I just don't want to act like Millennium Force.
Yeah, just don't be like Millennium Force, please.
I
I did that mistake and I regret that, honestly.
But the windshield
Wait,
of
y'all,
the
you guys
locomotive
say Millennium Force?
may have been hit by a projectile shortly before the
I drew
derailment.
a stupid orange.
And proponents argue
Yeah, the
that
stupid
the train
orange,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
him.
remember. I grew up with that.
Yeah, I grew up
I
watching
even
that
grew up with
too.
the annoying
Wow.
orange.
Oh
Bro,
my
we
It
have
god.
was
something
so
that we have in
funny.
common,
Even
dude.
though
Oh my
the
God.
annoying orange in Millennium Force was
Oh yeah,
funny.
stupid
Stupid
orange,
orange.
stupid orange.
And then they got run over by the Strasbourg Railroad. You cannot.
Yeah,
do that.
that's just
Hey,
really.
We don't want to show this video.
Don't show it. Don't show
Don't
it.
show it.
please,
Don't show
We're gonna get a copyright strike.
Don't show it.
Don't show it. Don't show
Yeah,
it.
please
Let's
don't
go.
show that. I don't want Elijah to get copyrighted.
Guys,
I got
listen.
copyright strike. I tried. I did that before, and it ended up being my God. But I got lucky with the first
when did
copyright
that
strike.
We don't
happen?
want to take this. We don't want to do
2022 or
something extreme.
2021?
It's awesome.
Yeah, but
Wait,
we
what?
cannot do that because first of all, that's against the rules,
That's against the rules. We want to be respectful and
Yes,
as friendly
then
as
the
a
rules down
Peter
there.
family
Yeah,
guy.
let's just try
And
our
if you
best
guys
to make sure.
divide like these things, then you'll get kicked out. End of discussion. Just like Sasha from this video.
Yeah, Sasha. Yeah, dude, definitely. Yeah. Anyway, but with everything a Millennium Force did, actually, but like the Philadelphia accident, however, it did change a lot because now people want positive train control, which could have prevented the accident, however. But we can't rely on technology doing stuff for us. We can't do that. We can't let technology control ourselves, even though like we're humans, we have to do what it's necessary, to prevent accidents from happening,
Yeah, you
And
got to be very careful while driving these driving trains, because if you're not careful, you can end up killing yourself.
well, not just but also the NTSB want to try investigating about the engineer himself. Like, was he on his phone during the time? Was he suicidal? Just like the engineer from the MARC train of the Silver Springs accident, which no one knows to this day of what really caused the accident. But whatever it was
driving a
caused by
steam
him.
locomotive, I am going to be very careful of what I am doing.
Yes, of course. But yeah, but like it's like similar accidents. I mean, similar accidents that happen with human error always happen. Like the 1996 Silver Springs accident when the MARC engineer disobeyed the signals and collided with an Amtrak Capital Limited in Illinois. And I would say people thought that he was, I don't know. People say that he was probably on his phone, or was he having suicidal problems, or
Hey
I don't know,
guys,
was he
look
terroristic
what I
or
have.
anything? Oh no, lightsaber! Oh my goodness! No! Stop! Stop! Okay. Chill.
Wait.
But
Wait,
what happened with Alicia?
Elijah might be right back in a moment
Yeah, guys.
because
You
while
wanna
we're
see
waiting
some-
for him,
I have
let's
some
stay here in the
track masters
live,
here.
okay, Manuel?
Look,
Okay.
look, guys. Look what
I
I
was
have. Look,
also smart at some
look, guys.
stuff
Look what I
because
have.
also that guy
Thomas. That's cool.
who
I
Hold on.
prefer the old Tommy Thomas. Honestly, I prefer the old Tommy Thomas. I prefer that better.
Hold on.
I don't like the new Track Masters, to be honest. They suck.
I mean, this one.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Yes, like that. Yes, I like that one. I love the original one. Yes. Wait, you got the snowplow one? Oh my god, you lucky! I wanted that. You lucky. Oh my god, you're so lucky. I wanted those
Look
type
what else
of
I have.
toys.
Look.
Oh, streamline, Thomas, streamlining.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Yeah. Streamlining.
Alright, hold on. Oh, I also have. I forgot I had this.
Wait. What did you forget? What did you forget? Oh my god. I wanted that one. Oh my god. Wow. You lucky. Lucky, bro. You're so lucky, I swear.
Yeah, like, what's different about this, Thomas? Because
I prefer the old Track Master one, actually. Like the ones that, like, here, let me try sending a picture, actually. I do have.
Look.
Here.
I'm showing you the streamline. Like the streamline Tommy and Clarabelle, you could see that they still have their original faces.
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
And look. But with this one, you can't.
Just like, no, I like this one, the old ones. Here, look, I have a picture, actually. Here, just share my screen. Here, like, this is the one I was talking about. Look, this is the one. Look, this one. I prefer this one.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on.
I prefer this one. Look. I prefer this one. Look, the Tommy Playrail one, like the ones that they made in Japanese.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
All right, guys, I'm back.
also
I brought a few of my Track Masters out.
All
I
right.
prefer the
I don't
Tommy
know what
Playrail
happened.
Thomas, honestly.
Manuel.
Dude, yeah, what's up? Oh, sorry.
When I was little, my dad told me a story that when I was little, I used to collect the Thomas stuff every week when I was little.
Yeah, my mom also
It
told
was
me
the
that
old
story.
ones. It was the old ones before the new
Hey,
Track
look at this.
Master ones. Even I got
Me
Wooden
too.
Railway ones and Take and Play
Thomas.
ones. Remember the
This is
Take and
Thomas
Play
with the
ones?
seagulls
And
Oh, the
also,
Seagulls one? Oh, that's cool.
Look,
remember, and I also had some of the new Trackmaster ones back since
Yeah,
2014.
I used to collect Thomases ever since I was a kid, because I remember, dude, when I was little, I actually remember, I actually hit a jackpot.
Yeah, I
found
also collected
a lot
some
of
Thomas
old
when I
Tommy
was little
classics
too.
Thomas. I
God.
found a
Look
big
what I have,
box
look what I
of
have.
old Tommy collections.
I mostly had Trackmaster ones since I like the Trackmaster
had
ones.
I'm gonna show you my
I really
Trackmaster
love
ones
the
I have.
memories
I
I
have this one.
had with the
Oh,
with
wow,
those
Union
Thomas
Pacific, wow.
toys.
I have the
Yeah,
2003 Mattel one.
I prefer
And I
the
also
older ones,
have
like,
the
like the
Plurel
2015
Lexi, like this.
Oh, wait, is that from Journey Beyond from Soda character?
Yeah. I have the
Ah.
2014
Let's
Plurel
see.
one.
I also have a
Oh.
lot actually. I did collect it. However, I did collect it some of the great
And
race.
do you guys remember the
Look.
Thomas Great Railway Show? I like
Look,
that
guys, look.
movie.
It's called a great race, first of all, but yes.
Oh, the Great Race.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they call it a
also,
great
he
race.
got Young Bao.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get the Take Along Young Bao. And also I need to get Vinny if I have enough money. But thankfully my
Oh.
credit card unfortunately my credit card expired. But thankfully my mom renewed one on October.
Yeah, that's cool and all. but like
But
dude,
anyways,
I
let's continue with another train wreck story.
all right, we got the Philadelphia one, which is the next one.
All right,
which is
there's
next.
the 2016 Chester, Pennsylvania train derailment. You know that.
Oh yes, of course. Yes.
Look,
You
guys,
should
look.
start it.
Okay. Hang on, just give me a second. What is the wreck called? I didn't remember in my mind.
The train
called?
wreck is called the 2016 Chester, Pennsylvania train derailment.
Okay. Train derailment? Okay, got it.
The 2016 Chester, Pennsylvania.
Chesapeake
Wreck.
Bay? Is that what they call it? The Chesapeake Bay
The
accident or what?
2016
Oh, this one! I got it.
Chester,
Okay.
Pennsylvania train
Okay,
crash.
got it. All right, okay. So
Look,
on April
look at
3rd
that.
of 2016, Amtrak train 89, the southbound Palomito, struck a backhoe while traveling through Chester, Pennsylvania, killing 2 track workers and derailing the locomotive, as well as damaging the first 2 cars.
41 people were injured in the accident.
It says that. It says that too. It says the train was en route to Savannah, Georgia, and had departed from Philadelphia's 30th Street station at around 7:32 in the morning. The train was carrying 7 crew members and 337 passengers, including 2 employee passengers. The train was composed of 1 locomotive, 8 passenger cars, 1 cafe car, and 1 baggage car. It had struck a backhoe, which is what's a backhoe? A backhoe is actually a construction material vehicle, actually, right?
Yeah,
They call
it
a
is also
backhoe.
called a rear actor or brake actor, and is a type
Yeah, it
of
says that too.
excavating equipment or digger,
Yep.
consisting of a digging bucket on the end of a 2-part articulated arm, just like the
Yeah.
ones in Bob the Builder.
Yeah, exactly. The bottom, the builder. Yeah. Okay.
But it's
slightly
struck a
more-
backhoe
You guys
obstructed
seen
the line at
the Bob
7:50
the
a.m.
Builder Fat Controller remake?
Oh, I posted that.
Yeah,
Also, guess
How
what?
did it get viral? How did it get viral?
Now let's do
Because the people thought it was funny.
So slightly north of both street underpass, the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, and NTSB again determined that the train was traveling at 106 miles per hour because it was going 106 with the authorized speed of 110 miles an hour. The
I mean, that wasn't that. I mean, like the speed limit was actually 110 miles per hour, and it was traveling 106. That's not bad. That's low. That's low. If it went up more than that, then yes.
But the Siemens ACS 64 locomotive number 627 sustained extensive damage to its cab and was derailed. At least 2 of the cars were damaged.
Was it repaired or what? Was it repaired or no?
I think it was repaired. And 2
I mean, look at the
maintenance
picture,
workers,
dude.
a backhoe
as
operator, and a
bad,
track supervisor were killed in the crash. And 41
Damn.
people were hospitalized. Passengers were evacuated from the train to a nearby church.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Jesus
dude,
would
like,
save them.
Impact, it looks so violent, dude. Look at the impact of the train.
Yeah. Among the passengers was businessman and former president candidate Steve Forbes, who was on his way to Washington, D.C. to participate in the C-SPAN interview program in death. Forbes was unable to make his trip, but did not participate in a 15-minute interview by phone about his experience that morning.
Well, and also not just the NTSB that also investigated too. Also the Federal Railroad Administration, or FRA, actually. For Federal Railroad Administration also investigated.
Yeah, and the Federal Railroad Administration immediately opened investigations into the accident.
Hey guys,
One aspect of the NTSB investigation is whether or not the maintenance crew were working on the correct track. The train
I can't believe that NTSB, they're so good at their jobs and investigating these type of accidents, dude. They're so good at their work, honestly.
They investigated the Tulsa meat boiler explosion, the Philadelphia train wreck.
Dude, you know what's the one that was actually the worst to investigate, dude? It was the accident of
What?
TWA 800. That no one even knows what exactly caused the plane to
Round
explode in
number
midair.
one, you beat
And
it.
because of that, like there were no survivors actually, which is sad. There was no survivors. There was like 234 people that were on board, and they all perished in the accident. And because of that, they had to find what caused the plane to explode, and they found out how. They had to find investigations. To be honest, they
Wow.
found out that it was a fuel tank explosion in the center wing tank of the plane. That's what caused the explosion. But there was also lots of conspiracies, even to this plane accident. Even to this day, there's a lot of conspiracies. Some people thought it was a terrorist bomb because remember, two events happened in the United States: the Oklahoma bombing and the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. So that's why people thought, the FBI also thought that this was
Just like the FBI, open up.
yeah, exactly. But first of all, like no, but like the
Yeah.
NTSB back then, they had a problem with the FBI. With the FBI, if the FBI is involved with their time investigation, then that's a problem with them because they're outnumbered with the FBI, obviously, because like those are federal agents that we're talking about, and I mean the NTSB are also federal investigators, yes, but like they're not government, like they're not government workers, that kind of way, which is pretty messed up, honestly, because like the FBI were surrounding with a lot of evidence that they found of the plane crash, honestly, which it was actually one of the confusing disasters that ever happened. That was one of the worst transportation they ever did in history, actually. Not only it cost like how long it took for them to investigate the accident? 4 years. 4 years it took for them to investigate the accident. 4 years. Because the accident happened in 1996, and then 4 years later, they got it in 2000. Actually, that's when they did their final reporting. Actually, which honestly, the NTSB are actually really good at doing those kind of jobs. Honestly, they did a good job. Honestly, I mean, without them, like, who knows? Who knows who will investigate these accidents? Would it be the FBI or would it be the NTSB? I prefer the NTSB better. But anyway, let's talk about another train wreck. Alicia,
But
you got anything
anyways,
else?
and also I also found something else because what I found in October of 2017, it was also revealed that one of the track workers had taken oxycodone and the other had taken cocaine, and the engineer had been taking marijuana.
Oh my god. Wow. Just like similar to what
Wow.
happened with the Chase Maryland collision with the engineer smoking marijuana causing an Amtrak to crash out of control, dude. Wow.
Now I'm
First
gonna
of all,
talk
like
about
people
the
don't know
Metro
about the
North
dangers of
December
that, honestly.
2013 Spy 10 Devil train crash in New York.
New York, what was the
Hey
accent
guys,
called
I
again?
want to show you
The
this
train,
light real
the
fast.
wreck is called the
Look
December
how metallic
2013
this thing is.
Spy 10 Louisville derailment.
And when I remove it,
Okay.
You know that?
Hold on. What was it again? The 2006 what?
It's
What
the
year was it?
2013 Spy
2013.
10 Deville on L.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, the one with the Metro North going 80 miles an hour.
The Metro North train.
Look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Hudson line that came from Poughkeepsie going to Grand Central Terminal.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the Lac
Oh yeah,
train.
I sent it in the comments section below.
Oh, okay. What's it called? The 2013 what?
December 2013. Just look at the comments where I put Manuel.
Okay. I'm looking
The
at the
December
comments.
2013 Spy 10 Louisville derailment.
December, right? December. Yeah, it's the month of December.
December
Oh, I got
2013.
it. I found it.
All right, let me continue it because Metro North runs through my area and sometimes in New York, which is in Allen's area. So let me talk about the accident.
Go ahead.
The train involved in the accident was the second southbound Hudson Line train of the day leaving Poughkeepsie, the line's northern terminus, and at its scheduled departure time of 5:14 a.m. east. It was powered by a General Electric Genesis P32 ACDM diesel electric locomotive, capable of running on either diesel fuel or electricity from a third rail. Since Metro North uses push-pull trains, it was situated at the northern, or rear, end of the train to minimize noise on the underground platforms at Grand Central Terminal in Manhattan. Its final destination was scheduled to arrive at 7:43 a.m. It carried about 115 passengers. Engineer William Rockefeller, a 15-year-old Metro North veteran who started as a clerk in station master's office at Grand Central and then spent 10 years as an engineer, was operating the train from the cab car. At the
Well,
front
before we
of a
get to that, the
consist
cab
of
car,
the
it's
7
actually
Bombardier made shoreliner passenger coaches, in
the
mix
cab car.
a mix of Metro North and Connecticut Department of Transportation livery, 2 of
Yes.
which were closed off and used only for deadheading by employees.
Yep, of course. Like I know people might say like what's a cab car? A cab car it's like a controller of the engine, you know, like the locomotives that has the brakes, the horn, that kind of way. And back
Yeah,
then
just like the
passenger
cab
trains used to do that
cars
actually.
that
And
was
they do it
used
today.
for Amtrak that were
And
originally
Metro,
the
don't
Bug
forget about
Metro
Metro.
liners, but because
Metro
due
liners
to
too.
their extremely increasingly dangerously mechanical and unreliability, because they were
Just like the
extremely
Chatsworth collision,
unreliable,
remember?
some of them were converted to cab cars, where most of them were scrapped, and one snack bar car number 860, which is nowadays currently preserved at the Rare Museum, Pennsylvania,
But
originally
cab
attained
cars
its
can be
original
derailed
paint art.
easily whenever it hits something like a car. Like that's what happened. That's what led accidents to like the Glendale train accident in 2006 when a suicidal driver tried to drive a car in front of the tracks and then got hit by a northbound.
And then he changed his.
Metro.
No, it happened in 2005. That was the Glendale
Oh,
train
that's a
collision.
5? Oh, okay, that's a 5. Okay.
And then when the guy realized that he didn't want to kill himself and how he would miss his family, then he changed his mind right away and left it 1 minute before the wreck happened.
Well, actually, before he said he wanted to try moving the car, but because it was raining that day, it was slippery, and he knew he couldn't get the car out at the time, you know? So he decided to just run away from the scene and then see the whole entire ordeal in front of him. Which, like, people have suicide problems, and I understand why. But, like, suicide has been like, an epidemic, you know? It's like an epidemic. It happens everywhere in the United States, dude. Literally.
Even if someone's
That's
feeling
illegal.
depressed.
You can act. It is also a sin to God because you can go to hell for that.
I mean, yeah, it is. Because, like, you know, thou shalt not kill. That means don't kill anyone, nor kill yourself either.
Because remember the 10 Commandments? It says not to
I
kill.
know, dude, I done my first Holy Communion, actually. I did that. I know that. Trust me.
Now let's continue.
Still have that in my mind.
He had recently begun working the morning shift after working afternoons. A change he later told investigators he had made reluctantly, requiring that he leave his home at Germantown, approximately 27 miles, 43 kilometers north of Poughkeepsie at 3:30 a.m. for his work. To make sure he had adequate rest of his shift, he had gone to bed at 8:30 p.m. the night before a 9-hour shift the preceding day. He had arrived at work on time after a 43-minute drive after he bought a cup of coffee and a hard roll.
Yep.
Filled out paperwork and intended
routine.
a standard safety briefing, followed by tests of the train's safety equipment. Another veteran employee, Michael Herman, who in his limited time working with Rockefeller had praised the engine's very smooth train handling to other Metro North's employees, was the conductor. His one assistant leaving Poughkeepsie was Maria Herbert, with whom he regularly worked.
An interview by
now
him,
let's talk about the accident.
The Rockefeller.
Now let's
should
talk
have
about the
accident.
Accident. So at 7:19 a.m., the train derailed 100 yards north of the Boyton Dilleyville station at 11.4 miles, 18.3 kilometers north of Grand Central.
Wow.
Just after it passed the junction.
Yeah. And also, this is like similar to what happened in Philadelphia of 2000, of the 2000 Philadelphia accident, 2015. It was also the same accident as that.
Yeah,
going fast
but
speed
it was
and
more
derailing
deadly.
from a curve.
And
like
just after it had passed the junction with the West Side's line, crossing over the Boyton Dilleyville Bridge, where Amtrak's train split off to go to Penn Station, and her passenger car, Linda Smith, recalled the train turning sideways as the bumps she felt gave away to bounces and sea cushions flew through the air. It was like a movie going on around me. Disturbers entered the cars through the broken windows.
And out of the fatalities, of the 4 killed, only 1 was found inside the train after the derailment. The other 3 were thrown from the train as it derailed.
Oh my God!
Thrown from the train!
A dentist from LaGrangeville
Wait,
headed to a
really
convention,
happened?
and it was like a severe turbulence in the airplane.
Jesus Christ, dude!
What a
Is it just like when a Metrolink train hit a car?
Yeah, sort of. You know, like the driver
Back in
getting out.
2005.
Yeah, back in 2005. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah.
response, the
Back in
New York City Fire
2005.
Department, or the FDNY, were sent over. Like they responded immediately, sending over about 125 firefighters to the scene to assist in the rescue.
Oh
EMS
my
workers were
god.
delayed, however. They were delayed by getting some of the victims while they were waiting for the third rails to be re-energized. All service of the Hudson Line was suspended as a coincidence of the accident.
Yeah, and also the train, and what caused the
Wow.
derailment? The train was going extremely fast and taking it to the extreme. Then it was approaching this train at 30, it's 50 miles an hour. Well, to the
Yeah,
Spoyville train station, the
Wow.
speed drops to 30 miles per hour. At 82 miles an hour, with the train and trying to when the driver saw that they were heading the curve at 82 miles an hour, and they applied like the instant emergency brake for in order for them to stop. The
and
train
now that I'm
had no
thinking
time
about it
to slow
too,
down.
yep. And now that I'm thinking about it, also a lot of people had their minds when this accident happened in New York. Everyone, like, because New York relived on 9/11 because of what happened on that day on September 11th.
No.
Because of that, like, they think that this was terrorism, you know? Everyone thinks that this was terrorism because of the accident, you know? I mean, whenever
Yeah,
something
and
happens in New
also
York, they think that, you
survive
know?
and the
Which I don't
nearby
blame them.
west
They suck them.
side.
Come here.
They suck them.
Yeah,
Come here, bro.
and
Oh, come here.
also after all service on the
Come here.
Hudson line was suspended as a consequence of the accident, the nearby west side line was reopened to Amtrak trains by 3 p.m.
And
Survivors were
survivors were
taken to a
taken to
family
service.
resource
Wow.
center to set up nearby John F. Kennedy High School after all passengers were accounted for. It was closed in the afternoon.
The derailment, however, was cost about $9 million in penalty damage. However, it was, oh my
Yeah,
god, that's
and
a lot
just
of money.
imagine the train almost fell into the river. And also,
Oh
and
my god,
if it
if it
actually
did fell
fell
in a
into the
river, those
river,
passengers would have died from drowning, dude. They would have died from drowning.
yeah, and
Honestly,
just imagine if the train was actually going more than 82, like 106, just like with Northwest's original 188, then the train would be, then most of the cars would be
Yeah.
sunk.
and you know something interesting, like
Yeah.
these trains are very, very fragile. It's like you're driving a car. You know, like when you hit the gas pedal too much and you don't like hit the brakes, the car just goes out of control. You know, like you can't control the car if you don't press the brake or the gas. You know. I mean, that's what
Ah.
happened to me when I was driving. I
Yeah.
accidentally put too much pressure on the car, but luckily I didn't
Yeah,
get hurt. I didn't get
Wow.
hurt. I did not get hurt. But luckily I
Oh,
stopped the car,
okay,
however.
okay, okay,
I
okay,
yeah,
mean,
and
okay.
the
What
I
disruption
got
happened?
lucky.
affected
I got lucky.
26,000 people who communicate to the
Okay,
city
what good
via
for
the
you,
Hudson
dude?
Line. Some commuters
Yeah,
temporarily
yeah.
switched to buses or
Hey,
drove
yeah.
themselves across the Hudson.
Yeah,
Rockland
of course.
County offered extra express bus service across the Tappan Zee Bridge to Terrytown. Drivers
Yep.
noted a slight increase in traffic on the Saul Miller Parkway as well. The derailment caused $9 million
Wow.
in damage.
That's what I said.
MTA
Yep.
crews worked around the clock to remove the derailed cars and repair damage caused to the tracks where they left when they left them. They spent the day after the crash replacing the ballast and laying new concrete ties. By the evening of December 2nd, all the cars had been righted and restored to the track. They were taken
Yes.
to the Croton, Harmon, and High Bridge yards, where the NTSB
Wow.
impounded
Yes,
them
of
for
course.
further investigations. Crews
Yep.
sent funds 900 US gallons, 3,400 liters, 750 IMP gallons of diesel fuel from the locomotive before removing it. Then
Yep.
cleaned spilled
As
fuel
a
from the
result of the
side
accident,
with
however, the
other special
NTSB
equipment.
wanted to have discussion about putting positive train control, which could have prevented the accident, however. But as I
Yeah,
said
they would
earlier, we
have done
can't
that
rely
and they would have had an
technology
end
to do
discussion.
everything for us.
Yeah, and they would have ended the discussion after they put the positive train
Wow.
control.
If the engineer would have noticed that he was going into the track, he was heading towards a curve. He probably should have been applying brakes before he entered the curve. If he like applied the brakes
Yeah.
sooner before entering the curve, probably would have prevented the accident, right? However,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
Now let's talk about the train, a New England steam locomotive train. This time on that happened on Sunday, September 10th of 1939, of the
1939.
Boston, Maine 3666 Piscataqua River train wreck.
Okay. When did that accident occur again? What month?
It happened on Sunday, September 10th of 1939.
1939. Wait, are you talking about the city of San Francisco or no?
No,
Or
it
which
was
one is?
at the Piscataqua River train wreck. It's at the
Oh, okay.
Piscataqua River near Kittery, Maine, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Let's talk
Oh,
about the wreck of Clintfield 311.
So that's a fictional one.
Oh,
wait.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, wait. When did the accident happen? It was 1939, right? The year 1993.
On Sunday, September 10th of 1939. So let's
Oh.
talk
Okay.
about the accident.
September.
So
September what
on
again? September 2nd?
Sunday, September 10th, 1939,
Oh, September
Boston
10th.
and Maine number P2B Force 2 Pacific type steam locomotive number 3666 was pulling the local passenger train number 2024 from Portland to Boston. The train was carrying 12 passengers and 5 crew members, as well as Charles Tully and John Beatty. The train
Yep.
was traveling south over the Piscataqua River by the means of this 1,650-foot long Portsmouth Bridge when suddenly the bridge failed from the weight, causing number 3066 the tender and the first passenger car to fall in the river. No one was inside the first passenger car when it derailed, but Tully and Beatty, trapped in the sinking cab of the engine, drowned.
Wait, what was? Wait, hold on. Sorry if I was bothering you, but like, what was the accident again? Like, it was September 39.
On
September.
September 10th, 1939, the 3666 was pulling the local passenger train number 2024 from Portland, Maine to Boston, Massachusetts. The
Okay.
train was carrying 12 passengers and 5 crew members, as well as engineer Charles Toll and John Beatty. The train was traveling south over the Piscataqua River by means of the 1,650-foot long Portsmouth Bridge when suddenly the bridge failed from the weight, causing the Boston Maine 3666, the tender, and first passenger car to fall in the river while the train was traveling at 3 miles an hour.
Wow.
Literally 3 miles an hour. That's extremely
wow.
slower. But no one inside the first passenger car when it derailed. But
Oh,
Toll
wow.
and Beatty, trapped in the sinking cab of the engine, drowned. And
Oh, wow.
only 2 died. No one was injured, but 2 died. Which
Oh,
are the
okay.
ones are
Okay. Well,
Charles
it's
Toll
still sad that 2 people died,
and
but
John
at least
Beatty.
the fatalities didn't go up. That's the good thing. At least we can try handle it.
But imagine if it was actually traveling at a high speed, then more people would have
If it
died.
wasn't a high speed, it would have been fatal. It would have been fatal, honestly. It could have been worse if it
Yeah,
was traveling
and
at that. It would
many
just
of the
cause more
passengers
and more
aboard the train
tragedies.
did not even realize of the incident until they were evacuated from the unsafe bridge.
Yep.
And several days later, on September 17th, 1939, Beatty's body was found adrift nearly half a mile from the accident site.
Yep. That's what it was.
However,
At
there were
least.
also
Yep.
attempts to recover the locomotive.
Yep. And thank goodness that nothing
Like in the
else happened.
1960s, I saw a picture of how its coupling rod might have been recovered when the train was at extremely low tide. And then in the 1990s, there was another attempt to bring the locomotive up, but the cost was unfortunately extremely too prohibitive.
Okay.
But there are rumors that several parts of 3666 were saved, like its pilot wheels were saved.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the engine wasn't saved. But a new Piscataqua River Bridge was built, called the Sarah Long Mildred Bridge. It was completed in 1940.
Yes, of course.
And I can imagine if the 3666 actually gets recovered, but at least a company called Cyan Bro, like it has everything for 3666. And
All right.
so once they're at the once they plan on building recovering the
Did they also
3666.
investigate about what caused the bridge to derail or something? Like, what did they find?
Yeah, I think reason why I think a ship might have hit a bridge in 1937, causing
Just like the
the
big
bridge's
bayou wreck.
weight to
It's
be
basically
weak.
like the big bayou wreck, sort of. Like basically like the 1993 big bayou wreck, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I also found another train wreck that we can talk about if you want to.
and
If you want to finish.
also and also I would love it would be nice, and I don't know what condition is in 3666, but it's in shallow water, so I guess it wouldn't be that hard because the
Well,
Piscataqua River
yeah,
has shallow water.
true.
It wouldn't be
But
that
don't forget
hard to
about how
recover the
amount of
locomotive.
injuries could they have, from suffocation from the water, like as a result for drowning.
Well, if I had the money, like, tw- like, like $14 million, then I would talk to the governor of New Hampshire, and I would ask them permission, send them a letter, or ask them permission if they can recover the 3666.
I mean, they have to. If I was you, I would take that chance. I would take that chance. I
Yeah,
don't
and
really
also
care.
they would recover it, and but it would take extremely years or even decades to
Oh
get this thing
wow.
cosmetically restored. Restoring it
Well,
to
yeah, because having that
running
kind of amount of
condition
money would
is
cause a
like
big
would
problem
literally
anyway.
take like forever, like an extremely
Definitely.
long job and forever, like even years, even decades.
Yep.
Like will be all that time if it gets restored to running condition. But for now,
Yep.
Robert lead it until further notice, and if
Well, I could talk about.
Steinbro can actually
I have
recover
another
it, but I
train wreck
know
that we
we
can
can.
talk about, Alicia, if
Steinbro
you
can
want me
actually
to.
recover it.
That's cool. Hey, Alicia, do you want me to talk
Yeah.
about another train
So
wreck?
and after preservation, railroad preservation is done with Boston Main 3713's restoration and the Main Central 470's restoration. Then preservation might have a chance for 3666 one of these days in the future. And hopefully after 3666 gets recovered, then it'll be taken to like a museum, and so it would be placed on static display like at the Danbury Rare Meat Museum in Danbury, Connecticut. So it would be provided with so much history, including about its train wreck and how it's been in the water for like 83 years. And by the way, I have some TikToks of Boston Maine 3666, and a lot of them went viral. And also, the train, the sad stories about Boston Maine 3666, and also Canadian Pacific 694. The tragic scrappings of Grand Trunk Western 5629, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, aka Burlington Route for short, number 5632, are one of the most viral TikToks on my TikTok page.
Well, yes, and I had to agree with what they said. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
understand
I
because
would
there's lots
love
of
to see
violence.
one of these engines come back to life, especially 694, because 694 is extremely deep in Lake Superior.
I mean, it has
And
a lot of history of the background. Like, it has history background, does it?
yeah, now and
Exactly.
speaking
Then.
of CPR 694, we may be able to talk about
Okay.
it.
All right.
All right. So, here is the the one and only Lake Superior train wreck. The
The
112 years after the derailment.
wait, what's it called? The lakes. What?
The Lake Superior train wreck.
Uh, the year happened. When was the year happened?
That happened on June 10th of 1910. Same year when the voice actor Jessica Ditko, who voiced Lynn Loud and Lucy Loud, was born. Right after the accident happened. That was like 70 years before she was born. While the accident
June 10th,
happened, like 70
1910.
years ago.
June.
Way before she was born.
Wow. June
So
10th,
let's
1910. Right.
talk about it.
Okay.
So on I think it was actually on June 9th, which is the voice actor of Amity Guitar and Rose from American Dragons' birthday. It happened on June
June
9th,
18th or June 9th, actually.
June
Which one is it?
9th of 1910, when
1910.
number Canadian Pacific D10 460 wheeler type steam locomotive number 694 was hauling a freight train in like near Marathon, Ontario, Canada, and also three men were aboard on the train. And then when suddenly a rock slide plunged, and then the engine crashed into the rock slide that covered the railroad tracks, sending the D10 steam locomotive number 694, a tender car, and several box cars into Lake Superior and
Oh
about
wow.
235 feet of northern Lake Superior Water near the town of Marathon, Ontario.
Oh wow.
All 3 members was killed.
3 crew members. It's 3
Yeah,
crew members.
and also the wreck is a one of a kind, said Tom Crossman, a remotely reported
And why? And why
ROV
is that supposed to mean?
operator
Like,
from
why?
Duluth, Minnesota, who helped find the locomotive wreck. And this is the only locomotive that I am aware of in the Great Lakes. And also, they discovered the Canadian Pacific 694 steam locomotive on July 22nd, 2016, when you were 10 years old at that time, Manuel.
Yeah, actually, at the time. But
And the
anyway, but like, yeah, like, so like, and honestly, wait, you said it was an avalanche that caused the accident. Was that true?
Yeah, an avalanche, the same type of avalanche that was used in Thomas and Friends.
Yeah, it was actually the same avalanche when Donald and Douglas were going towards the grave, and they got surrounded by, because
but unlike Donald and Douglas, which stopped at time, the 694 didn't, and it crashed into the avalanche.
I've seen other train wrecks as well. I also saw like how a local train got himself into a mess of a rock slide.
Amid a jumble of massive boulders, Crossman and his companions found what they were looking for, and visible on a video screen aboard their 24-foot boat was the wreckage not of some long schooner or ill-fated freighter, but a rather rare locomotive. The Canadian Pacific Railway locomotive number 694 to be exact.
Yes, sir.
And the town was about, the township of Scarborough, Ontario, and the 694 was only just 4 years old when that happened, and it happened during that night into the morning of June 10th.
Of course.
Actually, and the
you can prevent these kind of accidents to happen, dude. These accidents could just happen out of nowhere or out of the blue, to be exact.
The train would have slowed down and would have seen the train wreck.
Well, yeah, or maybe like if the engineer noticed something, that there was something wrong, like let's say rocks start moving, that's like a bad sign, just like in Thomas, Bill and Ben when they saw the rock slide coming, and
then Fergus saved their lives, and Fergus was stuck in the avalanche. And
I was talking about season 3 of Heroes.
Oh actually. Yeah, Heroes.
Yeah,
and then they got their crew out of there just in time.
Yeah, it could have been like that, noticing the small rocks going down. They would have noticed something else. If they would have seen those type of rocks, they would have just they'd be like, okay, we have a problem, we have to slow down or we have to gain speed in order to get away from,
Yeah, and this boxcar,
don't gain speed, just stop.
Yeah, and also they found the boxcar that was located by divers in Lake Ontario in 2014 near Marathon, Ontario. And it might not be in the best condition, but hopefully one of us can pray if the 694 will be recovered one of these days, and it'll take just 36
and then
it'll take
it'll run on the railroad.
Cosmetically restore it, and restoring it would be extremely difficult and take you to the extreme. Like every decade will be, like I said, will be very old as grandpas or even great grandpas.
Okay. Just out of curiosity.
But right now, I'd rather leave it until further notice, and if they would actually get it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk about the 2 wrecks of the Norfolk and Western 611.
Yeah.
You've heard of the wrecks of 611.
I've heard about the 611 train accident. Yes, I've known.
You've seen its accidents. You can read.
Okay, of course.
You can read another accident.
Yeah, of course. Which is the one you're talking about?
Accident.
Which accident you want? There's a lot of accidents right there. The Norfolk Southern 611.
Another wrecks of 611. So you can read the first one on June 20th of 1953.
Okay. June 23rd, 1956. Is that the one?
1953.
1953. Okay. Got it. Yeah. All right, I'm finding it. Oh, okay. Oh, the runaway. Oh, I know this one. The
Norfolk and Western 611 train wreck on June 20th.
And also there's actually an interesting year. That was when the new president Dwight D. Eisenhower was actually being elected, and he was also the general of World War II. I know that.
Yeah, and also I think 611 might have pulled one of Dwight D. Eisenhower's presidential
But they also call
election.
it the runaway, actually. They actually call it the runaway, too, because it was a
Yeah,
runaway.
and we're not talking about the runaway. We're just talking about the accidents that 611 has been involved in.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
you should read the one. You should search the 611 on Norfolk and Western 611 on Wikipedia, and you'll find its accidents. You'll read the first one.
All
on
right, I
June
found the
20th,
first one. The first one was actually January 15, 1953. This is the one.
June
All right.
20th.
Oh, June 20th. Okay, fine. All right, hold on. June 20th, right? The same year?
June 20th of 1953.
Okay. All right. All right. So basically, like the 611 has been a kind of like a GEVO, right? According to what people say, or no? Or hold on, maybe I missed the wrong one.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. I
because
found the
611
accidents.
Like
I got it.
611 has been involved in 4 accidents.
Yeah, it was involved in 4 accidents, what Alicia said. According
So
to here,
on June 20th of 1953, the 611 was pulling the Cavalier Express train when it struck a bakery truck at the railroad crossing at Charleroi, West Virginia, injuring the truck driver.
wow, injuring the truck driver.
The truck driver didn't know, was like dumb enough to know if there's a train coming.
Well, and actually, this is something interesting that people don't know. Like, in every 30 minutes or every hour, a person or a vehicle is actually hit by a train. Like, and it always happens in the victim's home. Like, once they start leaving their home, that's when accidents start happening, because that's what the NTSB say, you know? The
And
National
let's read
Transportation-
and also you should read, and also I'm gonna read another one.
I want to read
4
that one.
days later, number 611 was involved in another crossing accident at South Point, Ohio, where it hit the end of a tractor-trailer truck while pulling the eastbound Powhatan Aero Express passenger train, denting its bullet nose and crushing its front footstep on the fireman's side. It was repaired shortly afterwards.
Oh, wow. At least, well, I mean, at
Now
least this
you
one was
can
actually
read
not too bad.
Now
At
you
least this
can
one was not
read.
too bad. All right.
Now you can
got it.
read on the one on January 23rd of 1956.
Oh, yes. On June 23rd, 1956, number 611 was pulling the late westbound
January.
Pochantis. Yes. The Pochantis, when it derailed while traveling at 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers an hour, around a 30 mile per hour, 48 kilometer, kilometer hour curved track along with the Tug
It's
River
Columbus
near,
Brown.
Tug River near Cedar, West Virginia. The locomotive fell down an embankment of the Tug River and flipped onto its side. The engineer, Walt B. Wilder, was killed, while fireman Ernster W. Holback, 7 other crew members, and 51 passengers were injured. Number 611 received consistent damage, but was repaired and continued renovation services for another 3 years.
And also the 611's accident actually saved 611 and made 611 in the best condition to be preserved by the Norfolk and Western's president to preserve it and donate to the Roanoke Transportation Museum at the time in 1916.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why 611 was one of the 5 trains that barely escaped. Was one of the American steam locomotives in the entire world that was barely escaped from the scrapman's cutting torch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that happened to making it the sole survivor. The same with 4449 as the GS4. While it was the first engine in line to be scrapped, but miraculously it was saved and put into Oaks Park in Portland, Oregon. Thank God it was a miracle. The same with the New York Central Mohawks 3001, where it was sold to Texas and Pacific. So it would avoid getting scrapped by this evil New York Central president, Alfred E. Perlman, who scrapped a lot of New York Central steam engines.
Of course. And most of these things...
boys, where on earth?
No, not that kind of way, dude. No.
He sounds like an evil dictator. The real fan YouTuber
definitely.
History in the Dark sounded like that. Like this. He's in his British accent.
British accent, really?
Yeah, and also the after the six and also the reason why 3001 was sold to Texas Pacific was it took the Texas Pacific six the now heavily vandalized Texas Pacific 630-210-4 Texas Tech number 638, which was handily vandalized in 1954 and then was tragically scrapped in 3001, took its place masquerading as the Texas Pacific 482 number 909.
Yep.
Up until the
Definitely.
1980s, where it was moved to the National New York Central Railroad Museum nowadays. And
Yeah,
there
nowadays.
would be hopes that the locomotive should run again in a not too distant future. And
Of
then
course.
with 2933, it escaped from scrap. The reason why was because it was stored as a stationary boiler. But then in 1962, the Museum of Transportation in St. Louis asked the New York Central Railroad if they wanted to buy the locomotive. And then once Alfred E. Perlman realizes that he wants to scrap the two surviving Mohawks, he like, we want that steam engines. Where's that
Yeah, definitely.
2001 and 2933? And then one of his workers, and then one of his workers, and could like Barry and the other person's name, workers New York Central workers is his name, and didn't real wanted to run away from this evil Alfred E. Perlman that wants to attack one of them with a chainsaw. And he said, I can't believe what Alfred E. Perlman said. He wants to go to the new Museum of Transportation in St. Louis and wants to scrap the 2933 and all of their steam locomotives. That is
Yeah.
absolute sin, Mish.
I mean, that's not weird, but to be honest,
I
it's
the
like
reason why it's because I saw from the Railfan YouTuber History in the Dark and one of his 5 trains that barely escaped from being scrapped video, when he was voicing Alfred E. Perlman, he actually said that. And then one of his boss workers said that he would need a snack because he was not himself when he was hungry. And then he had a Snickers bar, but it didn't work. And after Alfred eat Alfred eat the Snickers, he like, I want that steam engine with his
like,
red eyes.
at
And
first,
then
I thought like when the way you said it though, it actually sounds like he was like drunk or something. Honestly, because like that's what people look drunk. Honestly, you know.
yeah, but he was an evil dictator. But
Oh
thank
yeah, that's
God
true.
he left New York Central and he worked on the Western Pacific until he passed away like in 1982, like in 1983,
Well, that's
82.
good and all. That's good and all. That is good.
Thank God he's
But I mean,
dead.
like, who's even
I
more
mean, the
worse?
New
What
York
about
Central could
Saddam
have had a
Hussein?
better
How about him? What
president.
about him? He's a worse dictator. What about Saddam Hussein? He's worse.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein. He
Exactly
also
him.
appeared in the Star
Yeah,
Wars Maker
he
Longer Uncut
yeah,
movie.
He
but
also
at
And
gets
least
thank
into
God
he's
some
dead
Hartman
other
ever
movies.
defeated
since
him with his
Satan
electrical
said this in the
powers.
movie. That is it.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
I
had
had
enough of
enough
you.
of you. It
And
just
And
throws
then he
and
him.
Saddam
said,
Hussein be like,
yeah,
ah,
yeah.
Hey
and then his body crashed into a rock, and
It's
it's like,
kind of
I started
funny.
laughing at that.
and
No,
also
no. You
Manuel,
know what got me into South Park? My cousin actually showed me South
and
Park at
also
first.
Manuel,
And you
and
love
also when
South Park
Saddam
now,
Hussein
right,
went to
Manuel?
hell and accidentally got
Yeah,
killed
my
and
cousin
got
showed me
stabbed by
South
the
Park.
rock, and
My cousin.
also Saddam Hussein got stabbed by the rock and then died
Yeah, he died in front of me.
permanently, spiritually. It's almost like this death kind of predicted the future of Marcy getting stabbed by King Andreas.
Oh yeah, of course, I saw that.
But
At first, I
Marcy
said no.
secretly survived. And then we still
Probably
support
he
Marcy.
probably didn't hit her that good. He probably missed the aim instead of hitting her heart. He must have hit something else, probably her lungs or something like that. Or heck, if she was lucky, probably the stab wound probably wouldn't hit her heart or her lungs. Probably just didn't hit anywhere. Just only
Yeah,
hit.
and then she got possessed by the coin, became Darcy, and then and then Darcy, aka Marcy's evil dark clone, kidnapped Anne and Sasha and their best friends, and also they invaded Earth to try to destroy the world, and then Anne defeated Andrews, and Sasha defeated Darcy in cutting the coin. Marcy and Darcy died, and Marcy came back to life, and also they went back to Amphibia, and then they realized the red moon was trying to hit them. It was actually the core that Or's cap from Darcy trying to defeat the Earth.
Yeah, of course, definitely. It did look
Anthony.
like he was trying
And
to.
then Anne, Natasha, and Marcy used their calamity powers. And
Yeah.
also,
Which
Anne
was
was supposed to be
cool
the
in my
one who
opinion.
wants to destroy the core, and she finally did it. And she had her sacrifice. Then she finally passed away. And then she finally went back down to Earth.
Yep, and they
Earth.
went back to
That
Earth, but
he
like
went.
everything changed.
Yeah, and
however.
then they said goodbye, and Phoebe got rebuilt, and then Sasha and Marcy reunite 10 years later in the year of 2029.
Honestly, I honestly want to put the intro. Like, I think about putting the end scene, but instead of the original, I will just put Henry's Forest theme, you know, from Mavis M. Actually, you know, because that makes it more. Is it because it doesn't remind me of All at Sea? You know how like
Yeah, I should do the same. I should do that.
that.
I would, however, I may do an amphibious season 3 finale episode, final episode, and last and final episode ending, the hardest thing ending, but with Henry's Forest theme.
Well, it's also like I don't know if it was All at Sea theme. Like, did they steal from All at Sea? Also, I don't remember because like they both sound the same. They both sound the same. They both literally sound the same. So I guess.
Yeah, and also, and about the New York Central Railroad, they should have gotten a better president. We could have had more New York Central steam engines preserved, and we would have had
definitely
more.
true. You got
but
a
at
point
least
there.
we need more, just like the UK building a lot of new built steam locomotives. We need more New York Central. We need more extinct steam locomotives, American steam locomotives. The same with Canada and other countries.
And you know something else too that I just found out on the news actually of 2020 actually, like just 2 years ago. It also turns out that CSX and Norfolk Southern train want to try estimating their crew members, just like how accidents like Megantic happened because the crew was actually there.
And also we need more plans to. And also there was supposed to be a New York Central Hudson replica of J1E number 5344, the 70E J1E 464 Hudson. And that was supposed to be built, but the project, unfortunately, due to the projects have stalled.
I hate when people make those kind of jokes. If I'm going off topic, it's because I read someone said 9/11 was honestly funny, which is not funny. It's not funny to make.
It's not funny. It's extremely sad.
Yeah, dude. Don't you know how many people died from those planes, dude? Like, I would say probably hundreds. I would say hundreds.
I think the internet should ban these kind of memes.
Yeah, those kind of memes.
People
say that was funny at first, but not anymore.
Period. End of discussion. Just like
wait, what meme is it?
Newfangled nonsense.
Newfangled nonsense. And end of discussion. Because if you don't listen to them, then Edward and Sasha would go crazy as trash.
Edward's gonna run you over, just like how he tried.
And they would run you over, and then Sasha would stab you with your sword.
Okay, those memes are really funny. Those memes are real funny, dude. They're really funny.
Yeah, and they would get triggered. And also, don't forget that Boris will also ground you if you make those kind of 9/11 memes, and sometimes give you a punishment day. And Fred from the Go Animate videos would also give you
concussion time
because of this.
Yeah, the concussion bees. Yeah,
concussion time. And you're grounded. You'll get punished.
Bro, I used to like Go Animate a lot, to be honest, and I still do.
Yeah, nowadays. And
nowadays, Go Animate's good.
All right, let's continue the more record about the 611 because we're getting a little bit off topic.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because on May 18th of 1986, the 611 was at the head of a Norfolk Southern employee appreciation train at 58 miles an hour, 93 kilometers per hour from Norfolk to Petersburg, Virginia, pulling a 23-car passenger train with Robert Clater at the throttle. Two of the passenger cars struck a faulty switch on the main line through the Great Swamp in Suffolk, Virginia, causing them and the 12 other passenger cars to derail. Although the locomotive, the first 6 cars, and the last 2 cars stayed on the rails. The excursion contained heavyweight and open-air passenger cars that lacked tight lock couplers. Nearly 177 of the 1,000 employees and their family members were seriously injured. And 19 were seriously injured and had to be airlifted to hospitals in nearby Norfolk for treatment. 11 of the derailed passenger cars were repaired, and the 2 damaged open cars, the Missionary Ridge and Queen and Crescent Club, were scrapped. and
Yeah, they
another,
were
the
definitely strapped.
W. Graham Claytor Jr., was donated to the Virginia Museum of Transportation. The Norfolk Southern decided to limit its steam locomotives, including 611 to 40 miles an hour on excursions. The heavyweight passenger cars and open-air cars were retired from mainline service since it was too difficult and expensive for them to be
exactly.
electrified with couplers.
Yes, sir. But like honestly,
All right.
like could this accident been prevented though? Like now that I'm done thinking about it, could it have been preventable?
All right. So,
For
do you
me, I
want to
would
talk
say
about
no.
the Union Pacific 4005 wreck?
Well, yes, the big boy wreck. The
Of
big boy.
4005. You should talk about it.
Yeah,
Your
the
turn.
big boy. Yeah, get the big boy. Yeah.
More like Big Chungus.
Oh, big chungus. Oh, yes.
That's what the History in the Dark YouTuber says.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Chungus
seen it. I've
boy.
seen it. I've seen big.
Your turn.
Why is big chungus nowadays? It's like I mean, it's not overrated, but like it's also cool. You know, like the Union Pacific.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
It's all right. You know, it's all right.
like,
you know?
I mean, that just like the meme called, I mean, it's all
Oh,
right.
you know something,
like,
but you know something
overrated
else
is-
too?
We don't want to say that. We don't want to say that.
Yeah, let's not say that, but like honestly,
I
I
just wanted to
prefer
make it a
the.
friendly
It
family
was
guy
the.
end
It
of
was
discussion. We don't
It's a
want
big
to have
boy, yeah.
these newfangled nonsense.
Okay, I
and
got the
end of
accident. I got the
discussion.
accident. I got the accident. Which one is it? Because there's two accidents. that I
It's
checked in
4005. 4005.
4,000. Oh, I got it. 4,005. Got it. Okay. On April 27th of 1953, number 4005 was pulling a freight train through southern Wyoming, Washington, when it jumped a switch track at 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour, throwing the engine onto its left side and derailing its tender and the first 18 freight cars of its 62 train car. The engineer and firemen were killed on impact. The brakeman died of several burns in the hospital a few days later. The tender destroyed the cab of the locomotive, and the loads from the 18 derailed cars were scattered. Despite the heavy damage, the locomotives were repaired by Union Pacific at its Cheney facility and returned to service until 1962. Wow. And yes, and I know these little bit of details about this and I give credit to, Thunderbolt Productions for making these kind of train wrecks. And I know these type of train wrecks because I always watch them all the time. And most of these freight cars that the train was carrying, it was carrying like animal
at
crates,
the Forney Transportation Museum and Denver, Colorado. And 4014 has been to Denver, Colorado, and I think it might have met the 4005.
I remember the one time that the big boy actually came to my town. Actually, it was actually a surprise. It came out of Mexico. Actually, I saw it.
It went to Mexico.
No. The city I live like close to the Mexican border, dude. I live close.
Nogales, Arizona.
Yeah, right there. I remember I counted that.
And then you remember have you ever been hearing train horns in the middle of the night or morning?
And sometimes middle night actually.
At first
I thought I was hearing things. Like at first I thought I was hearing things. Like I thought
if you hear also in your area, if you hear the next train coming, you'll have to go rail fan it so that you're part of the rail fan community.
In my hometown actually. Everyone rail fans. Everyone.
And what if you met someone that rail fan there?
If someone was there, I'd be like, hey, hey, you like trains? And he goes like, yeah, I like trains. And I'm like, oh wow, same. And he goes like, you're a rail fan?
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
you actually like trains and cartoons, and Elijah likes trains and cartoons.
Gonna be the Southern
and I love trains and
1401.
cartoons.
Yeah, but it did. But like, I'm actually telling you the truth. The Union Pacific Big Boy actually came to my town actually one time. The thing is,
I've
seen a Big Boy in person.
I've seen Big Boy 4012 at Steamtown National Store on National Train Day on Saturday, May 8th of 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I wanted to see 4014 in the future. Maybe next year, if while I'm on my Canadian Pacific 2016 steam locomotive tour from Calgary, Alberta to Mexico City, Mexico, and hopefully it'll pass by Cheyenne, Wyoming.
I did see an Amtrak train in Phoenix,
see the big
Arizona,
boy,
however.
including 844 and 838.
Yep.
Which it eventually became a part donor locomotive for 844.
There's a lot of history going in my town, actually. My town is actually historical, actually, because there's a lot of museums.
My city is also historical because New Rochelle got its origin from the French Huguenots.
And
Of
also,
course.
my town can be historical because I have a nature museum too at Stamford, Connecticut.
Mainly the town people, sometimes they talk about most accidents, to be honest, like car accidents, train accidents, that kind of way, And I mean, I'm fine with it, but like as long as they don't talk about nothing that they make fun of, like something offensive, that would say like probably they feel bad, they don't
Or
feel bad for the
or
passengers.
something that I learned in my history class when my history teacher said that there was in history that they were making fun of something.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's also what my history teacher also said, but except like minus the whole part of what you said, Alan. He said that like in my hometown, there's a lot of history stuff. That back then in the 30s, that the city of San Francisco, the train, which I wanted to talk about the wreck,
Is
was
it
actually
Frisco?
in here. Yeah, the city of San Francisco said it was here somewhere in the 1930s. It said.
Yeah, I was saying
I
that
mean,
if
that's what my
it's the
history teacher
Frisco
told me. I don't know if it
Railroad.
was lying or not. I don't know, but I think it did actually. I mean, like it said, like the city of San Francisco always travels somewhere in Arizona, right? Like in Nevada and Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah, and I heard
yeah, exactly.
Santa Fe said from Chicago to Los Angeles
Oh
and San
yes, true,
Francisco to Houston, Texas.
true. Yeah, that's what he said too. He said also the Santa Fe train and everything. Because he knows I'm a fan of trains actually. Because he sees
I
some of
am a fan
my.
of trains too.
He knows that it's because he sees me around whenever I rail fan. He sees me around when I'm outside.
So also, and then I saw in your video from 2017 that you saw Union Pacific SD 70 MAC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's because like back then I didn't know locomotive types, like like I know the number of the locomotives, but like not the engine type. Like the
And then
All
in the
EMP.
right,
D, and then
all
in the
right,
DM.
guys. I'm
All
about to
right.
talk another.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, he left.
I think it is
And then
connected.
you also knew I've also sent you an invite to North Georgia Rail Fan Server.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I have. I
also,
haven't. I tried
Hey,
joining it,
guys.
but it didn't let me. Oh hey, what's up?
Sorry, guys, if I had to
then
accidentally,
also, and then also,
accidentally fresh myself. But
All right.
let me
I'm
just.
gonna invite you to
Can we talk
North
about
Georgia
another
Rail
wreck
Fan
too? Let's
Server
just talk
Yes,
about
I
one more
am.
wreck and then
About the Southern Railway 1401 steam locomotive. Because the Southern Railway 1401 steam locomotive, because only 5 months after the Pearl Harbor attack, on a particularly Saturday night, a double-header passenger train powered by two Southern Railway PS4 Class 462 Pacifics, number 1401 and 1403, nearly saw their end of their service on the railroad when they both derailed by a stalled automobile truck at No Cross in Georgia,
the railroad
and
crossing.
they crashed into the truck.
Damn.
But fortunately, two locos were repaired and resumed their last years of service until 1948. I
It's
learned
just.
that
It's
from
just.
K&L Trains in the
It's just like
Southern
that video of that
1401 video.
train. Yeah. Yeah, it also just reminds me of how that Norfolk Southern train collided with the semi truck that I posted on TikTok. Actually,
Yeah, and also the 14 fun fact about the 1401, it pulled Franklin D. Roosevelt's memorial funeral train in 1945.
Wait, which
And
Roosevelt?
then
Which Roosevelt? Which
and
Roosevelt?
also William Claytor might have donated the 1401 right
Wait,
to
which Roosevelt? By the way, which one was it?
the
Was it
1401
Theodore?
in November of 1961 to the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, which I've been like earlier this year, this 2021 to 2022 Western High School 11th grade junior year, April 2022 spring break, with
Oh, that's
only
cool.
my mom, my sister, including my friends from Westover Mackinac Elementary School in Stamford, Connecticut, Natalia, actually Michelle, Tomic, and their mom Monica. My
Yeah.
dad couldn't come because he had some training to do and he has to watch the cats and all that.
Oh,
And
that's all
my
right.
chick
That's understandable.
has to work and Natalia's was at college.
Yeah,
Right.
it's okay. Yeah.
But
anyway,
I'm glad that I saw 1401 and I have some videos of her.
oh yeah, I also want to tell you guys some interesting facts I also found in my museum. Actually, I want to tell you guys this.
There's something I even seen before.
I saw something.
Also the other day, I saw in your older videos that you saw a Metro North M2 and M6.
Yeah, I think so. Was it?
Also, I even saw you saw trains in Ukraine when you went to Ukraine.
Oh wow, you did that? Wow. Was it before the whole entire thing that happened or what?
It was before the entire thing.
Oh, it was before?
Elijah knows that.
Oh. Anyway, I also want to tell you guys something that I saw in the museum. Okay, so I was out of town somewhere in 2015, I was out of town. I was at Phoenix, Arizona, because I was visiting some of my grandparents there because they live right there. And we went to a museum actually, and I saw something interesting. I found this like dirty picture, like because it was black and white picture, and it had a picture of how workers, like railroad workers, putting ties on the rails, and there was also a train behind them, which is the Union Pacific Big Boy. And at first, I thought this was a joke. I thought this was something that someone just made. Someone made up. But it actually turns out, like, I asked the tour guide saying, "What's this picture, about, and what's this train?" And he tells me, "Oh, this is the Union Pacific Big Boy of how I was in Nogales, Arizona at that time in 1939." According to the year, it says here. It says February 4th of 1939.
Also, the subdivision you were rail fanning is the
Big Boys weren't built in 1939. They were built in 1941 to 1944.
Oh, 41. Yeah, sorry. It's because I messed up some of the dates.
I think it was 1949 or 59.
Well, either the 40s or the 80s, he said. And like I said,
it was 50s and 40s and 50s because the Big Boys weren't running in the 80s because they were in service from 1941 to 1962.
Well, yeah, that's what I said to him. I said, these engines, I don't know that much of engines, but I know these ones were not built. Like, they had to be built somewhere in the 50s or the 40s, And he was actually correct because, first of all, this photographer was actually... because this photographer was old, and it messed up the date somehow, because that's how I was back then. Sometimes they mess up dates, to be honest. They don't know exactly which date it is, I think that's how it was. I don't know. But I remember I did saw a picture, and it was so cool how I saw the Union Pacific Big Boy. I mean, I saw the front engine. The front engine looks dope. At first, I thought, when I researched about this, I thought that was the Southern Pacific 499, actually. I thought it was that at first.
I also remember the cab forward. I also remember the Southern Pacific diesel locomotives.
Like their F7s and E8s and E9s.
And the
Hey, next time whenever we do these kind of crashing activities, you should add the alcohol and past accidents, Those are pretty cool to find out about running.
Yeah, but right now I'm going to talk about another accident, but we're not going to talk about the British Railways Class 47 train wreck with how it hit the cow.
Okay.
Yeah,
definitely.
Hey guys,
let's not do that because we want to make this channel friendly.
Yeah.
No newfangled nonsense, sad moments, and of discussion.
Wait, next time we are going to talk about animals, right? Because I want to talk about Tech the elephant. Actually,
we're going to talk about the animals of biology, starting in November. And next episode, we're going to talk about the dangers of drugs and alcohol.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah,
and
also we'll do a birthday live stream. And also we may do a top 20 list of worst kids cartoons.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not going to include the ones like Peppa Pig, Bluey, or Paw Patrol,
or My Little Pony, because I hate that.
Or like Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom and Nina Needs to Go.
I never actually seen those shows, so I'm gonna go neutral about that. Okay.
And Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, because I know how neutral you are and how.
Yeah,
sometimes I love.
Because first of all, I've never seen these kind of shows before, dude.
Because that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't like some other baby shows like Kai or Barney or Little Bill. Or Tupi and Binu, or Just in Time, and Just in Time is going to be in that list.
Oh, Just in Time.
Squirrel and Hedgehog. I hate Squirrel and Hedgehog so much.
We can't talk about that. First of all, that's like North Korea stuff. I don't know if we're gonna get.
And Juicy Korea Star Geo. And should we talk about? And we can talk about the Slim Shady show, how terrible it is.
And Masha and the Bears.
Let's hurry up and talk about one more train wreck because I have to go in a minute now. I have to go in a little bit. Let's just talk about the first train wreck.
And also, we may talk. And is it okay? And I don't know if we can talk about people who committed sexual harassment.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but how about we talk about some incidents that nobody knows, incidents that everyone forgot? Because I actually have a lot of incidents that a lot of people don't know. I mean, they do know, but sometimes they forget about them,
Yeah, you guys are smart.
But now let's talk about the last and final train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
The Pennsylvania wreck of the Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700 steam locomotive train wreck.
Which one was it called?
It's Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700, which is a 484 Northern type steam locomotive.
Okay.
It also suffered a wreck.
Okay. What's the engine? What's the engine called again?
It's Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700.
700. Okay.
It's near. It's a four. It's an E1. It is the oldest and only surviving example of the E1 484 Northern type steam.
Oh, a steam engine? It's a steam engine, right?
It's Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and it was built by the Baldwin Locomotive Works in May
So
of
we're gonna talk about the
1938.
accidents?
Nearly identical to the A3 class 484 Northern for the Northern Pacific Railroad. It burns oil instead of coal.
Okay.
Because and not to be confused with any other A3 locomotives. Like I know an A3 locomotive like that London Northeastern Railway A3s, like the Flying Scotsman, and the other one which is a Spokane Northern Pacific one. But all of them are scrapped. But it would be nice if a replica of the 700 was built.
Well, it says that most of them were either retired, actually, according to here. It says some of them were either retired or some of them were scrapped, actually. They say
and
retired.
I'm gonna read this one last train wreck before we go.
Yeah, okay.
So, in 1947, while hauling a passenger train and by the Spokane Portland Seattle Railroad, the Spokane Portland Seattle 700 suffered a catastrophic derailment and fell on her side while pulling a passenger train in Washington. It is unknown if the engineer, fireman, or leading brakeman were injured or killed.
I would probably say, like, first of all, like, when you say about, like, saying that the engineer and the fireman or the brakeman were not, they have no idea if they were injured or killed, I would probably say that maybe they were not killed, but probably they injured or probably they died from their injuries. Because, first of all, people could die from their injuries, like, in the hospital.
Yeah, and also, and the 700 was leading the train number 4 near Red, Washington, and it hit another avalanche at 45 miles an hour.
Avalanche? Oh my God! Again,
the engine and had 3 head-end cars derail and slide down a steep slope towards the Snake River.
Well, it says that nobody, like, you said it was a passenger train, right? It said it was a passenger train, then we have no idea if the passengers were killed.
And it takes 2 weeks to get the 700 back up the bank, and it comes back in pieces. And workers had to cut both the drawbar to separate the tender from the locomotive, and the boiler supports to separate the boiler from the frame and running gear. The engine crew escapes with only minor injuries.
Yeah, it actually.
Thank God 700 has been preserved.
And it was not damaged, right? It said it wasn't damaged in the accident, right?
And it pulled a farewell to steam excursion in 1950 on Saturday, May for its last and final revenue run on May 20th of 1956. And it was the first lady of the Northwestern. It pulled 21 cars pulling over 1,300 passenger cars from Portland, Oregon to Wishart, Washington. And back as the railroad's farewell to steam. And after the trip, the 700 is placed on the scrap line with the 701 and 702 and the Challengers and other remaining SP&S steam locomotives, because it's a particularly crying shame that there's only 2 surviving SP&S steam locomotives, number 700 and also 539, which is originally a Northern Pacific 282 Mikado.
Yeah, of course. Definitely. And like these engines, however, they were so cool, honestly. Learning about these kind of accidents, it actually preserves of how like the future predicted, with trains going faster on the curves like we saw from the Philadelphia accident and also to the 2013 accident that happened in, with the Lakewood, what's it called? The other accident, the derailment, just like the Philadelphia, what's it called? The
Philadelphia train
wreck. What's happening? Yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the Spokane, and I can imagine if we had more Spokane, Portland, Seattle steamers preserved, then a lot of them could have been preserved and would have been excursions today.
I mean, if it was, then maybe.
But at least we can build replicas of Spokane, Portland, extinct Spokane, Portland, Seattle steam engines, not including the 484s and the 282s, because they're only 2 surviving SP&S. One which is an E1484 Northern, and the other one which is a 282 Mikado that was originally from the Northern Pacific Railroad.
Yeah,
and also the 700.
However, they could have been preventable. Some of them could have prevented. Like the big bio wreck could have been prevented, actually, if the workers would have secured the bridge perfectly to prevent an accident, just like what happened in the Big Bayou wreck. If they would have actions, like if they did actions to the bridge, maybe the accident wouldn't have happened at all. Like it would have never have happened. But it was
Yeah.
thanks to the
And
accident.
also, the
However.
Spokane, Portland, and Seattle 700 was donated to the city of Portland, Oregon, on Oaks Park at Portland, Oregon, on January 14th, 1944, following the Union Pacific's donation of the Orient Railway and Navigation number 197, then Union Pacific 3203. And Southern Pacific later adds number 4449 to the city's impressive collection. And the 3 steam locomotives sit together in Oaks Park for nearly 2 decades. Until in 1975, the 4449, the Southern Pacific 4449 is restored for operation on the American Freedom Train.
Yep. And also before we start leaving the chat, I just want to say a few words before to everyone. Anyone who's watching the live stream, we do give dedication to those victims that lost their lives in those terrible accidents that we discussed about. We know we have to give dedication to the victims, of lost their lives in those terrible accidents, the engineer, the crew members, the passengers, everyone that dies is a tragedy. When a person dies, it's a tragedy, literally a tragedy.
Yeah. And don't forget that Chris McClemmy founded the PRPA to help restore the SPNS 700. And McLarney had been one of the volunteers in the SP 4449's restoration, but at only 15 years of age, and he was considered too young to go out on the road with the locomotive when it left him to lead the American Freedom Train. And McLarney turned his attention to 700, cleaning and oiling various parts and dreaming big dreams.
Yes,
and then it was moved from Oaks Park from 1985 to 1987. And then it was restored in 1989 and was restored in 1990 after after restoration occurred on May 15th, 1990, followed by test runs to Longview, Washington, and Wisham, Washington on June 13th and 23rd, respectively.
Yes, of course.
And nowadays, also the 700 masqueraded as a Northern Pacific, now extinct Northern Pacific A3 for Northern number 2668, which would have been the next member. And like I said, the A3s from the Northern Pacific were number 2600 to 2667, but 26 and also when 700 masqueraded as 2668, it would have been the next member if the production had continued. But someone should build a Northern Pacific 484 Northern, 5 different replicas. 6 different replicas, in fact. Like the very first one from the 1920s, which is the first 484 Northern type steam locomotive built in North America, is number 2600. And the second one is the A1, number 2626, the famous Timken engine. The third one is the A2, number 2650. And the A3, number 2668, the next member, and also the 2676, which is an A4, and also 2690, which would be the next member of the additional member of the class. Next additional member of the class, number 2690.
Yes. And
but it'll take more money. Extremely would take it to the extreme. Not only extreme, but the super ultra insane and gigantic way because of this.
Yes.
And nowadays 700 is now undergoing a 1472 day, aka 15-year refurbishment by the Oregon Rail Heritage Center. So it would, and also in 2020,
what's up?
2022 is gonna come.
My mom said that I gotta go to bed now, so
maybe able to restore.
I'll see you next time.
Maybe able to be restored.
Bye,
and
Alan.
So next year, hopefully it'll run. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this
thank you for
live
everyone
stream.
for watching this live stream.
And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video.
Be sure to check out some people's channels.
And the next episode we'll be talking about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, which is going to be an extremely short episode.
Yes, sir. All right. Anyways, it was fun. See ya.
Well, remember the the thing, the draw characters and trains that I mentioned, so you would draw them for my birthday, and
I
you'll
will. Don't
mail them
worry,
to
dude.
my house.
I know your favorite train, dude. Trust me, I know your favorite
It's
train.
4449.
You know my favorite character. I know your favorite train, and your character. Yep, you know.
I know, you know them. Those are
Yep.
being Amity, 4449, Thomas, Lori, Marcy, Wendy, Star Butterfly, Jenny,
And Thomas.
Maxine by Ray Ryan 90, Homer Simpson, and Bugs Bunny. And
Yeah,
after
okay.
you're
I'll try
done,
my best
you
to make a
should
poster
mail-
like that, but
you should
okay,
mail
I'll try
them to
working.
my house.
Got
Like,
it.
you should mail them to my house.
All right, I'll try.
But I don't want to give my address because I don't want them to go to my house and just hack my stuff.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. No, understandable. Understandable.
I'll send it to you and your Discord chat.
I'll try.
Yeah, but anyways, and we're gonna talk about in the next episode. We're gonna talk about drugs and alcohol, the dangers of them, including vaping, and it's gonna be very short. And hopefully we'll get to see you guys in the next episode. So
That's all, folks.
Oh, that's all, folks. Bye. Adios, luego, and peace. God bless you all. Damn.